Hey, what's up, guys? AM4 the GOAT. I know. It's still going. We're still building AM4. When does it end? When do we stop building AM4? Well, we'll stop building AM4 as soon as AM5 becomes reasonably priced, I guess you could say, right? Because AM4 still goes. Still works. Still runs great. But we got a little bit of a... Why is my camera so far? Like, if I'm over here, it's like, oh no, I'm off the screen. What happened? I don't know. Is that any better? Is my microphone even working? Welcome back to the Build Show, guys. I know I kind of just skipped right to the build table because why the hell not? Just one of those nights where I'm just like, let's just get to the build. I'm your host, Ben Estrino, over here at the Empower Gaming Studio, where we build lots of custom PCs live on stream and pretend that we enjoy doing it. I'm just kidding. I enjoy doing it. Tonight we're going to be building Stacy's order. It's not actually Stacy's PC. Stacy, who is aka mom of a young man who is getting a very nice PC, is going to be enjoying this new build. Yeah? What's up? It's working. Awesome. Craziest thing. Fans at 80% full temps are maybe 2 degrees different. Guess I'll just run them normal. Yeah, Tat, running the fans at, I was thinking about that actually. Running the fans at full speed like that for a long period of time, it's really going to shorten the life of those fans. Stacy's mom is it going on? I wasn't going to go there, okay? I wasn't going to go there. But it's Stacy is the mom in this situation. I'm sorry, Tat, it doesn't quite fit. But what's up? Welcome to the Build Show, Tat. Welcome to the Build Show Gaming with Ant-Man. Also over on Facebook, Zach Golden. Welcome to the Build Show. I know you are waiting for a build as well. I think we have everything here except one part, Zach. One part. We're waiting on one more part. It was supposed to be here today, but it didn't show up. But regardless, your build will probably be, because we're going to be building tonight, we're going to be building Tuesday night, and then we're also going to be building Wednesday night. So your build is probably going to be Wednesday night, Zach, just for awareness. Just kind of give you a schedule. So Stacy's tonight. Sorry, take that back, Zach. Your build is tomorrow night. I'm thinking of the wrong person. So Zach, your build is tomorrow night, and we're going to be doing Stacy's build tonight. Sounds good? Awesome. And your part is here. I'm thinking of another order that was just placed on Friday, I think it was, when it came in. Oh, even better. Yes, one day earlier. And then we should have it ready for pickup probably Wednesday for you. Just to give you an idea where we're at. Gaming with Ant-Man, is the Thermalright Assassin good enough for the 5700X 3D? Technically, the Assassin, the Peerless Assassin, yes, that is more than good enough for a 5700X 3D. In fact, I've done that before, and it worked very nicely. So Gaming with Ant-Man over on YouTube, yes, 100% good enough. This is the Assassin X120. The difference between this cooler and the Peerless Assassin is this Assassin X120 only has 4 heat pipes versus the Peerless Assassin that has 2 more heat pipes, so it has 6 heat pipes. And also, this only includes one 120 millimeter fan on one stack of towers or fins towered on the heat pipes, versus the Peerless Assassin that has 2 stacks of fins for the heat pipes separated with 2 fans. So the Peerless Assassin is way more efficient at heat distribution, getting rid of that heat. Is that the right word for it? It works for me. But it's way more efficient at getting rid of that heat, which is what you want. This is great for like a Ryzen 5 CPU or an Intel i5 CPU, and that's about its limit. I wouldn't put this up maybe like with a 5700X, maybe, or 5700G. That's probably where I would stop. And then anything bigger, I'd look at the Peerless Assassin, which is about double the price of one of these. These are almost $20. The Peerless Assassin comes in at about $36, so it's just shy of double the price. But it's well worth it, and still, even for like $36, the Peerless Assassin value is there. You can't beat it. Wednesday, when we build our Wednesday build, I'll show you a different cooler similar to the Peerless Assassin, but it's by a different brand. It's actually a Noctua air cooler that we're going to be doing inside a Fractal Design turret. So it's going to be a really big build, but it's all air cooled. So that's Wednesday's build. But I can show you another air cooler there, guys, which is more expensive. Much more expensive than the Peerless Assassin. But you could have gotten away with the Peerless Assassin in that use case scenario. So, I wanted I'm not saying Thermalright Peerless Assassin isn't a quality cooler. I just wanted the best for this one because of the budget that we had for it. So it's gonna pretty much be the lifetime of the build. Never gonna have to worry about that cooler. Not that. Anyway, I'll just shut up about it. We're just rambling now. And everyone knows laying more pipes means more satisfied. That is indeed in the oil industry for sure. I don't know that that's for sure the solution to cooling CPUs. But more pipes generally means better cooling. But that's if the pipe can fit on the surface of the CPU. So you're generally limited to about 6 because the pipe has to have surface area on the CPU to make contact. If it doesn't, it's not going to work. Cool. All right, guys, let's move on to this build. I did notify Stacy to let her know, even though we are starting a little late, like normal. You know me. It's like we get through all these. I have all these repairs in here right now. Do you guys want to talk about those a little bit or no? Just move on to the build. We can talk about the repair jobs that I had in here this week. Ooh, how exciting. So let's go with the, my friend built their own custom PC and then had a power supply fail, and then they tried to replace the power supply on their own. I'll give you a reference. This was his old case. Yeah, let's go ahead and just zoom out. This was his old case. Must be a glorious user. Must be. It's old. It's an old Corsair case. It's not a bad case. It's just the airflow for the size of components that he had in his system, because of the front of this thing, just it doesn't. It's just not up to par. Plus the fans that he had in here, they were old and probably weak at moving airflow. They're the super cheap red LEDs, you know, that came with this thing. They're old. They're just past their date. The airflow was poor in this case, even though the front had mesh. It was great for its time, but as we got into bigger, better, higher power components, this case definitely does not meet the airflow requirements. So you can see it's dusty and old. Anyway, power supply that was in here on this particular build, which I moved his entire build to a new case for better airflow. In fact, I used the Montech Air 903 Max, which significant difference in temps right off the bat. But the main problem was, after he put his new power supply in, nothing would power on. No power whatsoever. And I know I don't have the build here, and I could show you the actual end result. But the reason why it wasn't powering on was because he was a little lazy, and he used the old power supply cables from the SATA, because he had SATA storage, with the new power supply. So old power supply, modular cable with the new power supply, and the Corsair power supply was smart enough to know, hey, this pinout is wrong, I'm shutting off. So as soon as he hit the power button, the power supply would trip and shut off. He thought, and I thought originally when he brought it in, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. So I didn't even think that he used the old power supply cables. So it kind of threw me for a loop there for a little bit, until I finally discovered or looked at the power supply and saw that the old power supply cables were on the new power supply. I was like, huh, those power supply cables look dusty and old compared to the rest of them. The ID cooler is with, I put in my wife's PC. It works great. Has been for 2 years now. Nice. Oh Lord. I was almost told that's a huge no-no using any cords from any other power supply. That is correct. So the lesson here that was learned was, do not use, and I knew this already of course, but he didn't, do not use any of your old power supply cables with a new power supply. Do not mix and match power supply cables. And I'm not talking about the external power supply cable like this guy. I'm talking about the internal power supply cables. Do not mix those. Do not mix and match. Bad idea. And this is a reason why. This power supply that he bought, fortunately, was smart enough to detect that it was wrong and wouldn't power on. But there are other power supplies out there that will fire up, and when they do, your components will most likely take the heat. Metaphorically and figuratively. Both. It won't end well. You'll have fried components in the end, and probably a burnt out power supply, and probably melted cables. So, don't do that. I ended up talking him into, because he was still on SATA SSD and a SATA hard drive for his storage, with a Ryzen 7 5700X or 5800X 3D and a 3080 Ti on a B550. I talked him into an NVMe M.2 SSD, and we reloaded Windows and all that, and put him in a new case, the Montech Air 903, I also got him a GPU support bracket for SAG. It's one of those Lian Li discrete ones. So super cool. And yeah, it's looking a lot better. There's a lot more airflow. Hardware's running cooler, and there's no sag in the graphics card, and we're powering on, thankfully. But that was one problem that we had to fix. The other ones, one of them already got picked up, but the Cyber Power PC that was in here, if you are on the Discord, you probably got a little preview of that with a video. That one ended up being RAM. I ended up replacing the RAM with a new kit that is on the QVL list, and that solved that problem for the Cyber Power. Additionally, the white one that I built about a year and a half ago, that's in here. I'm pointing backwards because it's behind me. I don't know if you can see it over there or not. Nope, camera won't pick it up. Anyway, it's back there behind me. And that also ended up being a RAM problem, where the RAM worked, stopped working, or it was working fine for about a year and a half, and it just randomly stopped working. And that was a G.Skill, it was an AIM 5 platform. It was G.Skill Triton Z5 Neo RGB 32 gigs. Just randomly stopped working. Just went bad. No reason at all. Just, I feel like I'm going bad today. So we had to replace that. So it was in here for warranty. And then, last but not least, we had the power spec in here, and that still actually is not completed. I still have to get that on the bench, finish that, but I had to do this build. So, those are the 4 that came in this week and kind of tied up a bunch of my time trying to troubleshoot and figure out things, because the RAM issues are so weird. I can run a test on the RAM, and it'll say, good, so it passes the test. Then I can run another test later on on a different program, and it says it fails. So I'm getting either a false positive or a positive fault. I don't know. I don't know what to believe. So there's no like yes or no answer here. So I have to actually physically remove the RAM, put new RAM in, and see if it works, and go from there, and then do the tests. And then when both tests come back clean, then I'm satisfied. It's weird. DDR5 has been a pain in the ass to deal with. I don't know why. It's just not mature yet, still, even today, after a year and a half. It still sucks, I guess is what I'm saying. Digital Pioneer. What's that? I've missed a little bit of chat here. Oh, Lord. I always almost... Yeah. Quick question. Want to get a PC case with a Blu-ray drive for nostalgia? Are all internal drives powered by SATA? Yes. Pretty much all internal drives are powered by SATA. And you could just get an external drive, that's correct. An external drive that would plug into a USB port is really all it is. Or USB-C. Depending on what bandwidth is needed on it, but it's probably just a USB 3.0 port. I miss the old PCs with the drive bays. They actually still make a couple out there. You could probably find one, Gaming Ant-Man. And they still make the drives. You could definitely find those. If you need help locating one, a new one, I could try to track one down. I would say just drop a comment in the Discord and remind me to go look for one. Or give you a recommendation on one. I do have an old Cooler Master case here, like super old, and it's got all the drive bays and stuff in it. Just sitting here, doing nothing if you want it. You just gotta pay for the shipping. They make the case with drive still, maybe older style. Yeah, they do. They do. Yep. $80 on Amazon. Yeah, I think there's a couple of options still out there. Probably one of my favorite cases during that era was the Cooler Master HAF, I think it is. Or the HAF, or whatever the hell that was called. That was one of my favorite designs. And then I had a weird one. I think it was by Inwin. I'm pretty sure it was by Inwin, but it was really cool tower. Can't remember the name of it. And I liked that case a lot. Man, I have to go back and figure out what I bought like 10, 15 years ago. I know someone who has an Alienware case that has drives. His name rhymes with tin. Huh. Tin. Tin. Tatman. I don't know. I don't know who's tin. What his name rhymes with tin. Ben? Me? I have one. Yeah, I have. Bin? Are you calling me Bin? I do have an Alienware. A green one. Sitting here. We're going to be doing a rebuild of that. So anyway, all right, guys, let's get back to the build. The build. It's you dork. Tin. My name's Ben. How is Tin Ben? Tin. Bin. Ben. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying. It would have been like, his name rhymes with hen. Something like that. All right, let's get back to the build here. Stacy. This one's for your son. I didn't get his name before the stream. I apologize. I tried calling. I sent an email. So hopefully this is good enough. But we're going to start with the Ryzen 5 5600X, which has got the 6 cores, 12 threads, and a maximum boost of 4.6 gigahertz. We are going with the 5600X with 32 gigs of DDR4 3200 CL16 by Silicon Power. We got 32 gigs of RAM here. Plenty of RAM. And a 1 terabyte M.2 NVMe MP44 by Team Group, MP44L by Team Group, which has got about 5,000 megabytes read and write speeds on there. We have an AMD Radeon RX 6600, which is 8 gigabytes, GDDR6, 128-bit. It's going to be running PCIe 4.0 because we have the combination of the 5600X and a 500 series motherboard, the B550M Pro VDH Wi-Fi. But it is a little, we're trying to keep everything in the price point. And then we also have a 650 watt power supply that we're going to be powering the entire system with. It's by Cedric Tapestry 80 Plus Gold. It is not modular. And then we have a couple of fans here, fan kits, so to speak. So we have 6 total fans here to work with, 3 each in each box. And then we have an Assassin X120 Refined SE, which has got the 4 heat pipes and 120 millimeter addressable RGB 120 fan. So it's going to definitely keep this 5600X cool. The case that we're going to be using is by Zellman. It's a P10. So if you haven't seen this case before, this is actually my first time. Oh, hey, is this a Christmas present? I don't think this is. I think this is more of like a birthday or something, if I remember correctly. I can't remember. I'm sorry. I've worked with too many people in the last 8 days since this order was ordered. Terrible, I know. So do I smell Montec case? It is not. It's going to be a Zellman P10 micro ATX tower, which has got tempered glass front and side panel in its modern design. So it's got the its intake on the bottom and exhaust at the top. And I think there's exhaust at the so that case here momentarily after we get this motherboard, CPU, RAM, SSD, and cooler sorted out. Build's going to be pretty quick. I think the longest portion of the build is going to be dealing with the fans, trying to get those installed. Although I don't think that's going to take too long to get through. But it's a pretty basic build. Let's go ahead and begin with the build. And let's square up here. Apparently, we've gotten bumped a few. My camera has been bumped. Yeah, it's right here. So my head can sometimes bump it. Yeah? That's better. We're a little more square. Go ahead and zoom in on this bad boy. And get started. We don't need that. Goes to the cardboard pile where cardboard goes to be recycled or burnt. Is this board MATX, Micro ATX? Yes, this is Micro ATX. It's going in a Micro ATX case as well. So definitely working out. Do. 32 gigabytes DDR4, 3200 megahertz. About ready to go in there. If I can get it open. Without damaging anything. I hate these packages that make you like tear it apart. It's so stupid. G.Skill has done it right for so many years. I know this is cheaper packaging so they could save money there, but I wonder how many people damage their RAM trying to get it out of this thing. Or cut themselves. Alright, we're going to be putting the DDR4 3200, 32 gigs of RAM in the A2, B2 slot. And then we're also going to drop a 1TB M.2 NVMe in the top slot here. PCIe Gen 4, EMP44L by Team Group. If you have a stud in the wrong place, always remove it. For example, there's a stud here that was going to go underneath and touch the bottom of the SSD. We don't want that. We have to remove it. Always remove those extra studs if they are there. At the same time, you need a stud. Do not install an M.2 NVMe SSD without your stud. Also generally requires a screw. In this case, the heatsink will be the screw for this design. Let's see here. Steve Anderson, welcome to the Build Show, sir. Will this outgame a PS5 Pro? Probably not. It'll definitely outgame. You know, it might. I don't know. It'd be close. I think you would need like a 7700X. The CPU probably, and the RAM probably, and the storage, yes. But it's the GPU in this particular system that would struggle, I think, against the PSP or the PS5 Pro. So I think a 7700 XT or something like a 6700 XT would probably be the, you know, I can beat a PS5 Pro scenario. This doesn't beat the PS5 Pro, you know, maybe in raw performance, but if you took them and you benchmark back and forth with the same specs, which is hard to do because, well, the console's always going to have some sort of frame generation going on, as well as, you know, different performance in general, different qualities than a PC. The PC is always just gonna go for quality based on the settings. You can adjust a lot more on a PC than you can in a console when it comes to like in-game settings. Because the console is just gonna control it so that you can't make it slow. PS5 goes to 120 at 1440p, yes. Not natively though, it's upscaling, correct. With some sort of, like, I think it would be some sort of frame generation as well going on. Some games now are 60 instead of 30 because of better graphics in the Pro. That's why I asked, yeah. I mean, yeah, you're probably going to be hitting, you know, in most games that the PS5 Pro is hitting at like 60 FPS. In this, you're probably going to be hitting at 80, but it's because we could lower the settings, the graphic settings, versus the PS5. You really can't do much changing there to get better performance, if that makes sense. So, yes, we could probably beat a PS5 Pro. It's PSSR. Oh, whatever it is, yeah. Yeah, does the 4090? Yeah, it does. The 4090 can't even do 120 FPS at 4K. What do you mean it can't? Yeah, it can. You could do 8K at like 30 something. 4090 can't do 120 4K. I'm pretty sure I've seen it. It depends on what it's running, is what it comes down to, guys. And also, you know, the settings. But you can get a 4090 at 120 FPS in 4K. Of course, it's going to perform better on different titles, or worse on different titles. But really, it comes down to what is your benchmark, like, what are you benchmarking? And then you can start asking that question, what is the performance? That's what you need to do. What is the table that we can define the actual performance? The base. That is what you need to establish, and then you can start testing and saying a 4090 can or can't do this. And I'm sure there's a million YouTube videos out there that say that already. I'm sure of that. An update on the Linus Tech Tips screwdriver, or the LTT store screwdriver. Still working. Still working. No signs of it giving up yet. I've gotten pretty accustomed to it, which sucks because that means when this one finally dies, I'll probably have to buy a new one. Or send this one back and buy a new one, so I have two. One for when it dies and goes back. You know, send it back. I think they got a pretty good warranty on these too. But I have a feeling I'm going to go through it. We use it a lot. What I like about it most is that I can definitely feel the tension on a screw. So I know it just gives me a better feel of how much tension I'm putting on a screw or tightening things so that I can make sure it's even. It just feels a lot easier to gauge. You can feel it differently. Nice, Steve. I have a 4060. I get 100 FPS in 1080p Ultra in most games, yes. And that's probably with some FS, or not FSR, frame generation. The DLSS that assists with that. I just wish the 1080p DLSS graphics settings, yes, on high, looks as good as the 1440p DLSS graphics settings at low. I just gave away a computer to a friend with an RTX 4060. 32 gigs of RAM and an i9 1085K. Holy smokes, you got rid of it? I didn't know you did that, Steve. Who'd you give it away to? Give it away, give it away, give it away now. All right, we're ready for that case. Good evening. Hey, what's up, Martin? Welcome back to the Build Show, sir. What CPU is in there? That is a 5600X inside this, underneath this cooler here. So Ryzen 5 5600X. We've got 32 gigs of DDR4 3200 and a 1 terabyte M.2 NVMe Gen 4 SSD by Team Group. RAMs by Silicon Power. And the cooler is a Thermalright Assassin X120 SE, which is addressable RGB. It's got 4 heat pipes and a 120 millimeter PWM fan. And it's addressable RGB, which I mentioned. The motherboard's an MSI B550. We're going to get the case out, though, and get some fans installed and stuff. But this is the Zelman P10, which is a micro ATX case. Has ventilation on the side, the bottom, and also the opposite side is pretty much a almost full mesh panel, as well as the bottom is pretty much all mesh. So that's where all your intake comes from the sides, bottom sides, the bottom itself, and the opposite side here. Ventilation. So lots of ventilation here. The intake is all going to be on the bottom, pushing the cooled air up, and we'll have exhaust at the top and the rear. So we have 3 fans to go in here at the top and the bottom. And we've got tempered glass on the side and the front, giving you that kind of fish tank view, so to speak. Oh, that's right. You gave it to a friend of recovery. I think you mentioned that a couple streams ago that you were going to do that. Or a little while ago. You're going to upgrade you to a 5700X 3D this year. Nice. Yeah, it's going to be... So... I don't know if this panel comes off easily. I assume it does, but don't really need to take it off. So get the back panel off, which again is like a almost full mesh panel. The other thing I like about the Zelman cases is they include like little GPU support brackets, which I think is kind of cool. Not that this one is going to need it all, but it's there if we ever need it. I might even remove that. Get out of the way. One 120mm PWM addressable RGB fan is included with this case. We'll be using, mounted here at the rear. So we will be using that. But we're also installing the 3 on the bottom and 3 on the top. So we do need to remove those. And we need the hardware kit to get this motherboard in here. The backside has plenty of cable management area. Has a hard drive cage for hard drives. Comes with a manual as well. Kenneth, what's up? That build is a PS5 Killer Pro. PS5 Pro Killer. Killer Pro. LOL. Does more RAM make your PC faster? For some applications, yes. You know, for example, hey, what's up? Boobsy guy over on the Twitch. Sorry if I missed your chat over there. Been a little quiet over there. I have 3 different windows with 3 different chats, plus my multi-stream chat, and it gets buried in there. Cool. Cool! So welcome to the Build Show, sir. If you haven't been here before, welcome. We're just getting started, basically. I wouldn't say faster, but more or less likely to bog down on RAM-intense multitasking. Yeah, so the more RAM you have, the better, the more multitasking you can do on a PC. For example, you can have a ton of different Google Chrome tabs open, and you'll notice the RAM gets used up pretty quick there. So the more RAM you have, the more Google tabs you can have open. Google Chrome tabs. No worries, man. Thank you. So additionally, excuse me, Escape from Tarkov is a good game that I could mention that RAM helps with that game, as well as CPU. So it's a CPU intensive. Yes, it does need a decent graphics card as well, but it does rely on the CPU and the RAM a lot in that game. So usually when people come to me and say, hey, I want to play Escape from Tarkov, I usually try to push them to like 32 gigs of RAM, just because that game likes to perform better with 32 gigs. It's just so that's where RAM can make a difference. PUBG is another one that's more CPU, I think, intensive than it is graphic intensive. So it does like CPU and RAM. So the more RAM, the better. What else? I think Fortnite's another one that likes CPU and RAM, but I don't think you need more than 16 for Fortnite to perform nicely. But unless you're going for like the best performance, etc., and then I would say 32 is probably a good idea to go get. But in general, today, I try to push everybody to 32 gigs. Oh yeah, Rust is another one. That's a good point. 32 is good now for a day, for nowadays, I feel. Yeah, 32 is what I usually tell people to try to get to. Not just because it's not all games require 32. There's some games that do, and in the future, newer titles are going to require that. So it's going to be a requirement. Not quite today. I think 16 is the bare minimum today, for sure. But we're going to get there, and we're going to get there soon. So it depends on the game you're playing. That's really what it comes down to, or what you're doing. Excel likes a lot of RAM as well, so if you do a lot of Excel spreadsheets, the more RAM the better, as well as CPU. Just as an example of something else other than a game. When these things don't line up always perfectly. Good. We're all lined up. I'm going to use the LTT screwdriver until it dies. That way I can complain. The LTT store. Yeah, a lot of games were maxing RAM out. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. But it is easy enough to upgrade, so even if you do start with 16 just to get started, if you're on a budget, no shame in that. Upgrading RAM is very easy, and it's generally inexpensive. Not something super expensive anyway. For example, your lower end 32 gig kit will cost you about $50 right now, $50 to $54 for two 16 gigabyte sticks. Now, what I do not recommend is mixing and matching RAM. I would recommend always trying to buy the same brand, the same kit, the same speed. You're not mixing and matching speeds and brands. Never a good idea to do that. Generally, it will cause weird problems. But I've seen it before where it hasn't, so... luck. At that point, you're just gambling. I got them all. There we go. We got all our mounting points done on the motherboard. They're all screwed in. We're good to go there. We have a addressable RGB cable to send to the back here. We're gonna deal with that. Put the top fans in. We have two addressable RGB headers on this board. We have one at the top here, and one at the bottom. And we'll use the bottom fans here, and then the the three on the top, the two, the cooler, and this on the top RGB header. Yeah, that's how that'll go. Talking about that, let's get those fans started. We're going to be using the Thermalright C12CS, which is 120 millimeters PWM addressable RGB. Thermalright stands, pack of 3s. We've got 6 total. I put 3 on the bottom and 3 on the top. Now what I am missing is screws to mount it to the bottom. I gotta locate some. Here, I think I have more in a box over here. I definitely need to order more of those screws. I've just got a mishmash right now. And I hate that. Alright, we got enough to get started here. Question, Ben. PCs are always better than consoles in most cases because you built me a monster build? There's different use case scenarios. So if you're just looking, hey, I game, I don't really care that I'm running at 30 or 60 FPS. I don't plan to go any faster than that, and I'm happy with just sitting on the couch with my controller and playing with the guys, once a week, then maybe the console's right for you. You also don't want a PC. You don't need it, the additional features that a PC can provide, then maybe a PC's not for you. But if you need a PC, maybe to do work or school or whatever else that you're doing on top of gaming or any other production type work, then, the PC's for you. And also you want to achieve better performance than a console and not stuck at 30 to 60 FPS, regardless of what they advertise. But no, not all PCs are better than consoles. Yours is definitely better than a console, if I remember correctly. Kenneth. We built a pretty decent rig, if I remember correctly. Alright, so the fun part with Thermalright and their fans is all the twist ties that we get to undo. There's like a bazillion of them here. Each cable, there's 2 cables on each fan, and each cable has a twist tie, so we got 6 twist ties to undo for each fan, or for each kit. That's 12 twist ties. And I just go ahead and just undo them before I put the fans in, so I don't have to deal with it while it's in the case. And these are going to be mounted as intake. Make sure I mount them correctly. This is where a small stubby screwdriver is helpful in that scenario because I have the heatsink there already. Or put the fans in first, but I'm generally not a fan of doing that. In fact, probably should have put those front panel connections in there before I put these fans in. Now that I think about it. Front panel, USB-C's up here, USB here, got HDMI. More twist ties. Can you guys tell I love twist ties? A friend wants to upgrade his computer. Let's see. Friend wants to upgrade his computer. He has a Ryzen 7 5700X and an RTX 3060 8GB. Ugh. Why bother? And a 32GB of CL18 RAM. I told him to think about the 5700X 3D and an RTX 4070, but I told him the 5070 is coming. It's coming, but it may not be here until mid next year because the 5090 isn't even out yet. Thinking about how much he would have to spend. So, all right, let's pretend the 5070 isn't coming out, and he's going to be spending about $220, $230 on a 5700 X3D, and an RTX 4070 is about $500 right now. 500, 530, depending on which model he gets. And if he wants the Super, he can even spend the extra $20 and get the RTX 4070 Super and have a little bit of extra performance there. But that's about $550, so he's close to $700. I'd say $700, $750 just for those two components. So yeah, the 3060 at 8GB, that hurts him. The performance on those cards suck. I was not a big fan of the RTX 3060 with the 8 gigs, and I advised everybody to stay as far away from them as possible. And I still advise that. Every time I see one, you know, it's usually because they bought it thinking it was an RTX, like an RTX 3060, the original, with 12 gigs, but it ends up not being that, which sucks. But it happens. Nothing we can really do about it now, because it's already in there, right? But that 3060 is probably the big limiter when it comes to gaming in general. CPU isn't bad, but yes, the 5700X with the 3D V-Cache will definitely help him. Ben, best PC builder in the mitten. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Zach. Ben, ever seen an AIO that don't have a header connector on the pump itself, but rather on the radiator? What? Not following. You want to send me an example in the Discord? I guess the answer to that question is no, unless it's a very unique pump. So wait. The pump itself, but rather on the radiator. So is the pump on the radiator? Is that what you're saying? Like the pump header cables coming off the radiator? I've seen those, yeah. The MSI is a good example. They have those. The reason why they do that is so that they think they can make it so that if you put it in the front, no matter which way you kind of position it, the pump is never going to be the highest point of the loop, which is the idea behind it. The problem is, if you take that unit and put it at the top of your case, which is what most cases do nowadays, then it becomes the highest point of the loop. So it's kind of outdated now. So I would avoid those, especially if you're going to put it on the top of your case radiator. Generally, that's on my avoid list. Try to avoid those. And I have seen them burnt out, or burn out very quickly, because people put them on the top. Right, that's right. tight fit. Alright, now we can move on to the fans, because we got the rest of those cables in there. Front panels, so I'm not really worried about that. When I was talking about stubby, I'm talking about stubby in comparison. Shorter handle. His computer is a pre-built. I told him about a 7800 XT, but he wants to stay with NVIDIA. Yeah. A lot of people like to, especially if they're in the pre-builds. They're usually already stuck in that brainwash mentality. Well, crap, because that's mine. Oh, no. And it's at the top. Oh, no. It's not that it's not going to run. It's just if there's air in the loop, what happens is air gets trapped in the pump. So I'd say as advice, probably rotate your case every now and then to get the air out of the pump if there is any, or just get another AIO. I didn't like the design because nowadays, if we're putting a radiator, for example, in this PC, where do you think it's going to go? It's going to go at the top. That's just modern case design now. Radiators go at the top because the CPU exhausts out the top, which is good. The problem is, with some of those older radiators, they put the pump on the radiator so that they could put it on the front of the case so that it would never be the highest point of the loop. No matter what position you put the radiator, there'll always be a lower point than the pump. The top of the pump will be a lower point, not the top point of the loop, so air doesn't get trapped into the loop or into the pump. Blah, blah, blah. So air doesn't get trapped into the pump. That's what you don't want. And air will always go to the top of the loop to get trapped. Air goes up. And May explains some of the things going on. Yeah. So one thing you could test is while the PC is running, lay just like that, except don't have your fans just spill out everywhere. Lay your case down so that your cooler is no longer, or your pump is no longer the highest point of the loop, and you might even need to tilt it like this and see if that changes anything. If it does, then that could be your pump having trouble because of where it's at. And there's nothing you can really do to fix that, especially in that case, because that case is going to force pretty much the radiator to go there, 360. There's no other real good place for it. That's one thing I didn't think of or didn't see on your build, or I would have called that out. So I apologize. Now we can't really see exactly what I'm doing here, but I am just putting the screws through the fans here at the bottom and screwing them into the case to secure them with a stubby little screwdriver. Call him Mr. Stubby. That way we can work our way around the CPU cooler that's in there. Fan number 2. 4 more screws. 4 screws to rule them out. No, it's actually 4, 4, 12. By the way, Thermalright does make reverse blades now. I actually found that out just a couple days ago. And I was like, holy shit. That is cool. I knew something was weird because I did my wife's and buddy's connector. It was always at the pump itself, yes. So a good replacement AIO would be one of the Thermalright Frozen Note, because the pump is an inline pump. So it'll be in the lines. The lines will never be the highest point of the pump unless you're an absolute terrible unless you're terrible with your PC components. But it's in line, so your pump header comes off of your pump on the lines. So it's not in the radiator and it's not on the block, but it's in the lines here, and it makes it perfect for those who are putting the radiator at the top of the case, which is what it's designed for. So the Thermalright Frozen Note, Knot or Note, I don't know if it's Knot or Note, but it's N-O-T-T-E. That would be a great cooler to replace your current one that you have right now. And they're about $65 in black with 3 addressable RGB fans on it. The problem is I don't know if your board is going to accept those fans, because I know you've got some weird connections going on there. But I do know you bought that controller, so should work with that. No, you're not gonna find just the pump and the rad. You're gonna have to buy the whole kit. Hello, Ben. Hey, what's up, Aaron? Whomever the owner is of this PC you are building, building will be a happy camper. It is Stacy's, not Stacy's mom, but Stacy is the mom in the situation. If you know the song, Aaron, I don't know if you do. Stacy's mom got it going on, something like that. I can't remember the exact lyrics. I'm terrible at singing, so don't judge me. But anyway, it's Stacy's the mom, so her son. So we're building for her son tonight. But yes, he will be one happy camper. And welcome back to the Build Show, sir. I'm glad you checked in. How's everything running for you? For those of you who don't know, Aaron is the one that has the system that we struggled with while building. We struggled with the AMD Ryzen 9 7950X 3D processor. The motherboard that was bad as well. So there was quite a bit that we were dealing with, brand new out of the box, bad, and it made it for a terrible building experience. So. Man, that sucks. Just bought a Be Quiet Lightweights. Well, you can still use those fans on there, and they will be much better than the stock fans that pretty much come with any, AIO on Thermalright. Those winged fans are going to be a lot better. If I had just the AIO with the radiator and the fans, I would send, or without the fans with the radiator and the pump, I would just send it to you. But I don't have anything like that. Congrats for him! And she's an awesome mom. So Stacy, did you hear that? Chat thinks you are an awesome mom. Aaron over in YouTube. Everything is great, powerful, and extremely cool. Awesome. Nice. You like my beard? Kind of growing out right now. Non-intentional. It's just been busy. And I don't do good with keeping up the beard. For real. W mom. Yes. WW. All right, so now that we've got these bottom fans mounted, we have to mount some top fans. So 3 more, guys. 3 more fans. I know it's getting more and more interesting here as we go. Like, holy crap, can you do anything else other than fans? The answer to that question is no, because we are a big firm believer in lots of fans. We like fans. More fans, the better. The more FPS. The more RGB, the more FPS. The more blades your fan has, the more FPS. The more wind flow, the more flow you have in your case, the more FPS. And that's actually a true statement. At least you have less opportunity to thermal throttle and lose FPS. More twist ties. The more twist ties, the more FPS. Thermal right or thermal take? Thermal right. Thermal right. So I would recommend the Thermal right Frozen Note. N-O-T-T-E. It's got that infinity mirror as well on the block that goes over the CPU. Super cool looking. And that's one I've used actually for a long time. Well over a year now. Been great. Like we've only ever had the 240 millimeter versions of that fail. So there's something to do with the 240 version over the 360 where the 240 fails. And I've only ever had one and probably the 100 plus that I've built with. So that's a pretty good sample rate. I'm playing games at full ultra graphics and running cool. Hey, Aaron, hey, guys. Gaming with Ant-Man and Tat for Tuna. Tat 2 Tuna. Sorry, Tat for Tuna. Tat 2 Tuna. They both wanted to know if you can run 1440p at 120 FPS, Aaron. You have an RTX 4090 in your system. You answer that question. Are you hitting 120 FPS in 4K? I don't know if you're running 4K actually, but are you running 4K? And then if you are, can you run 100 or can you reach 120 FPS in 4K with the RTX 4090? Because they were asking. I already know you can, but I was just gonna ask you. It's kind of cool that you have one and you're here. He has the 4090. We can ask him the questions, yeah? That is true about more twist ties. More FPS. Thank you for clarifying that one. The more twist ties you have, the better FPS you get. My cousin put $2,500 wheel on an $800 used car, and he says it goes 25 miles per hour faster. Just like if you buy, like I did when I was a kid. When I say kid, I was like 17. I had a Dodge Neon, okay? And I decided I wanted to get a few more horsepower by taking the muffler off and making a straight pipe with a four-cylinder. I think it was like a 2.0 liter. Boy, was it loud. maybe gained like 5 FPS. I'm just kidding, 5 horsepower by doing it. But everybody in the neighborhood knew when I was leaving, and everybody knew when I was coming home. And I could not sneak anywhere. I quickly realized I hated it. And then realized that it's not very easy to put a muffler back on when you cut it off. And then I realized, don't do that unless you have a race car and it makes sense because it's going to sound good. It was a bad idea. I'm full of good ideas when I was a kid, right? There we go. Starting to look like a gaming PC now. Look at that. Okay, I'm at 4K, but getting that in Cyberpunk benchmarks with ray path tracing on auto performance. With ultra performance, I noticed 0 differences in visual qualities. Bigger tires means more rotations and more miles to the gallon. That is true, I guess, right? And I get 145 FPS in Cyberpunk 2077 benchmark at ultra performance in 4K. I did the same on a dirt bike. It popped very loudly. Nice. Hold on, I gotta say goodnight to a little miss. I mean, they're big. It's the power supply and the graphics card. We're almost done. Calm down. Man, the wife isn't going to be happy that I need another PC. Hey, you can blame me for that one. You can say it was all Ben's fault. $65. Wow. That's a rat's nest right there. Let's go ahead and drop the graphics card in, because I don't really want to deal with that yet. The graphics card, as a reminder, is a RX 6600, 8 gigs, 128-bit PCIe 4.0. With the B550 and the Ryzen 5 5600X, we have PCIe 4.0 support. All my PCIe's mixed up because there's so many damn versions now. This one is by PowerCooler. This is the Fighter by PowerCooler. This will pretty much handle any game in 1080p today without breaking a sweat. Very smoothly. It also has access to FSR, which will give a little bit of frame generation where it's supported. A very efficient card, as I know somebody here will agree with. Mr. Steve. He and I both like how efficient the card is when it comes to power. Alright. Very efficient. There we go. Graphics card installed. Now let's drop a power supply in here and then we get to plug everything in. Of course, I just realized, thankfully the connection's over here. There is a PWM connection there. I almost realized I was an idiot, but it's okay. We can work through that. Put the card in, he said. Good idea. Could have dealt with the connections here first. Vice versa. And last but not least, this guy. There's our daisy chain of RGB. Go up to the top here. Yeah. Cool. Now we just got to get the bottom fans plugged in, and then a power supply, and do a little bit of cable management, and then we could finally fire this bad boy up. Looking pretty good, guys. Looking good. Hey, what's up, Electroman? That case has a lot of empty space. Easily, you could fit like a little screen in there. Yeah, you could definitely do that. If you wanted to add stuff to it, you definitely could. Welcome to the build show. Good luck. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate you stopping in, sir. I'm going to ask, then run. Hey, what's up, Robert? Fix it? Have I been here before? I don't know. It's been a while. Usually I recognize people. This is where I was like, stupid for putting that graphics card in there. I need to fit my fat fingers down in here to get this in. I forgot I had to plug these two cables in down here. Not even gonna fight with them. Just gonna put it over there. That. We got System Fan 1 and System Fan 2 filled out. Now all we gotta do is put a power supply in and do some cable management. Tell her you need to so you can do some online shopping for her. Yeah, that's a good idea. How would you have known? I don't know, maybe if I looked at it. What's up, Army Vet? Hello, sir. Was late, but had my amateur radio net to run. Nice. Well, welcome to the build show, Army Vet. Welcome back. A little weird that isn't completely mesh on the side. Yes, I agree with you. I actually thought it was. I missed that little detail. But it is all mesh on the bottom. It's all mostly mesh on the back side. You could look it up. It's the Zelman P10 Electroman if you want to look it up. The Zelman P10 is the case. It's the micro ATX case, but it's got mesh all on the bottom, mesh on the side, both sides, and it's gonna, that's where your intake is, on the bottom. We got intake on the bottom, exhaust on the top, and we are running an air cooler, so not, you know, not the end of the world. And they're very efficient parts that are in here as well. The Ryzen 5 5600X with a RX 6600. So it's not like this thing's going to be an oven. It's not going to create, meaning the fans that we already have in here are overkill. So the cooling is more than efficient for the build itself that we're doing. And it's going to look cool. Robert, fix it. Okay, I posted my channel. Let's see if any of my friends join. Oh, nice. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. We're also going to be building, because I know we're at the end of this build stream, but we'll also be building tomorrow and Wednesday. So we've got build streams lined up for 3 days in a row. Wednesdays might end up being Friday, though. Quick heads up. I'm going to try to do it Wednesday, but I got a bunch of stuff happening on Wednesday, and I'm going to try to do it. Never know. I have to do a Friday or Thursday stream. I've not been here before because I definitely would have remembered the green power button. Yeah, it's a pretty memorable icon. So I went with it. But I do a ton of builds live on stream here. I want to do more videos on YouTube. Just haven't had the time. power supply mounted. Now we just need to get the 24-pin, the 8-pin EPS, and the 8-pin PCIe out there. Cable management. God knows we need that here. Holy crap. I want to come up and under or over? Alright, flip this bad boy over, plug them in, pick them up, sit them down. Go. Are you live on Twitch too? Yes. Yes, I am. I'm over on Twitch, YouTube, Kick, Facebook, Twitter. I'm everywhere. I Spy Thermalright fans. You spot correctly, sir. 100% correct. %100% correct. These are Thermalright fans. Ah, I forgot the EPS. Get this. How did I do that? That's so tied up with that PCIe cable. I forgot about the EPS. Line up for me, baby. Please. There we go. Cool! I like that. Looks weird. I'll play with it. Alright guys, we've got all of our cables plugged in. Now we just have to cable manage. Anyone familiar with the Thermaltake X9 Super Case? I feel like that's an older case. That one. I feel like it's one of the older ones. Newer ones are like the 2, and we're going to be building it actually tomorrow. Sorry, I've been... Damn, the fact that there aren't fans on the side of the motherboard gives you hella space for cable management and a tiny case, but very comfortable. Yes. It is a pretty cool case. This is the Zalman P10, like I said before. Definitely worth checking out for, you know, a smaller build. I'm not a builder, but if I was, I would have a literal shelf of Thermalright fans. Yes, 100%. That's how you do it. Thermalright's been amazing. And I pretty much have a shelf of Thermalright fans here. So, just like you suspected. What do you guys think of that? That cable management, decent? Decent enough? I think it's pretty clean. I had to clean it up as good as I could. A lot of extra cables up here because of the Thermalright fans. They have a lot of extra cable on it for a short run. Not much I could do. The only thing I could have done is maybe bring it over here and put it part of this harness, but just keep it up there, I guess. All mesh on this side, except for here, which, again, I think is strange too. I don't want these flapping around. That'll be kind of the finishing touches that we do before we call it good. All right, let's plug it in and see what it looks like, guys. Fire this bad boy up. Clean up some of this hardware real quick. Time to see what our creation is. PC. Does he? Maybe? Oops. I have no idea what just happened there. Sorry about the music. Switch the scenes. Maybe a slider was up all the way. My bad. I can't hear the change, guys. I can only see the monitor, and the monitor's like itsy bitsy. It's like maybe looking at something like that. There we go. Sorry, guys. Didn't mean to blow your eardrums out. I changed slides or changed scenes, and the slider must have been stuck up the last time I used it. I don't know what happened. Headphone users, rest in peace. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not good at this streaming thing. I'm terrible at it. But hey, look. Outside of your ears bleeding, we have a beautiful PC. And it's posting. Yeah, I just wanted to wake you up. Make sure you're awake, you know? Come on. I can only ask so many times. Hello? But we're posted to the BIOS. Look at that. Hell yeah. Pretty dope. Pretty cool looking. Jeez, that thing's clean. Yeah. Clean. We have also got glass on the front, which we need to peel the actual peel on the inside. Don't want to take the panel off. There we go. Now it's clean. Nice. Thank you, Steve. Does it have 4 or 5 PCI slots for the GPU? This is a 2-slot GPU. But it's a 2-slot card, and there are a total of 1, 2, 5. 5 slots on the back, on the case. Front glass have a smoke tint. If it has a tint, it's a very, very slight tint. Not a huge tint like Leon Lee tint. Here. So you can see the difference between the fan and it's a slight tint. There's no peel left on the glass. So you can see the difference. Plus the camera does that as well. Camera is a little darker so that the lights don't have any reflections or anything. Usually micro ATX cases only have 4. This one has 5. That's better. Yes, I agree. It gives you more room in case you want to put something in the bottom slot that requires a little bit of extra space. But I think the reason why they did that is because of the bottom fans there. So that way if the card is like one more slot down, it's not riding on the fans basically. It's a good design by Zellman, I think. The only thing they could have done better is made the front, the very front here, this is not mesh. I think if they would have made this mesh and the full panel mesh on the back, this case would have been absolutely awesome. Nice build. Thank you, Gary Smith, and welcome back to the Build Show, sir. I don't know if you've been here for a while. Maybe you sent a chat and I missed it, because that's been more and more common lately, especially when I'm doing cable management. But welcome back, and thank you. But there you have it. Stacy's son has definitely got a PC that's going on. Is the case big enough for a 4090? I would say no. No, it wouldn't be. Maybe with an AIO and you vertically mount it, maybe. But, nah. I wouldn't put a 4090 in here. At least all the bottom mesh only premium cases offer that. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's actually Okinawas, OKNIS, is a brand that makes actually a decent looking micro ATX case that has mesh all on the bottom. And then they have a one step up, which I think is an ATX. It's either a micro ATX, it might still be a micro ATX, but it's got side fans as well as 3 top and bottom that you could do. So it supports a 360 millimeter. And then they have an even bigger one that's an ATX mid tower. Those are all actually pretty decent. I did a build in one of those a while ago in the Discord. If you're on the Discord channel, remind me to post a picture of it and I'll shoot you a picture of it. And drop you a link from where I bought it. But yeah, it turned out pretty good. I like it. Ignore my little mouse cable here, doing mouse cable things. Definitely a solid case for a micro ATX build. It's a modern design. Lots of room. Lots of airflow. I mean, I could feel the flow, the airflow. So, it's moving. But that's all I got for tonight, guys. If you want to come on in and watch me build Zach's PC tomorrow, I've got another build stream tomorrow evening. It's going to be Zach's PC, who's somewhere in the chat. We'll be doing his build tomorrow night, and then possibly another build on Wednesday evening, but that might slide over to Thursday. At worst case scenario, Friday, depending on the schedule. So, thank you everybody for joining us on this build, and we'll be back again tomorrow evening. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you guys on the next one. Second build from you, and this is Zach's second PC from me. So super excited to put that one together for him. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you tomorrow night.